the staff get to know the residents. They get to know their stories and their lives. And so it's kind of, there's a real family feeling.
Hi, I'm Agnes Stowicki, Managing Editor with Comfort Life. We're speaking with insiders from Canada's leading retirement communities and care providers to uncover insights to community lifestyle, care, culture, and leadership. This includes insights from residents, family members, and administration. This is the Comfort Life Insider Perspective.
I'd say that's an easy one. It's the caring staff there, from the manager to the housekeeping staff to the dining room staff. Everybody there has been, in my experience, consistently caring and kind, and they'll go out of the way to help if, for example, sometimes if I call my dad at night and he doesn't answer the phone when I know he should be up in his room, I get a bit worried. And so all I have to do is call the front desk and we'll go up and check on him, don't worry. And then they phone me back, he's okay, he was just in the bathroom, or stuff like that, that little things, but just you feel like I feel relaxed that he's in good care. Is releasing me of a lot of worry and concern about caring for my dad. He is on his own. And if he had been in a house or his own apartment, I would be, every day. Because I'm the only daughter around and locally. My other two sisters live far away. So it's all down to me. And knowing that somebody's always watching dad, or there's people around, it gives me great peace of mind. And for dad, I think it's the same. He doesn't need to worry about anything. He knows he gets his lunch at 11:30, he gets his dinner, and he knows everything is a routine. And he's really calm and settled there. So I think the lack of worry on all of our accounts is a big positive. Well, yes, and every day, I see him most days, and I certainly talk to him every day. And he always says, "Well, today it was just I feel I'm fine. It was the same as yesterday, and that's how I like it." People's circles get smaller, and that's he just loves being there because he doesn't have to think about anything. The building actually was a big draw. So I could step back a moment. My mom also lived at Sherwood. Now, it's kind of a funny story. My parents were divorced a long, long time ago, but life happens. They lost their spouses, and because I live here, they came here and both ended up at Sherwood for a while. My mom has since passed away, but mom lived on the 4th floor. Dad still lives on the 3rd floor. And the reason my mom was the one that first went there. And one of the big draws for Sherwood House compared to other ones around town was the physical building. It's beautifully decorated. It's homey, it's tasteful. There's nothing of an institutional feel to it. There's a lovely big lounge with a big fireplace. And my mother, being a stickler for interior design, that meant a lot to her. And it meant a lot to me. And so we first of all loved the building, then we met the people, loved the people. So getting my mom into Sherwood was a lot more difficult than my dad, in that she didn't feel she was really ready for this, but she was. But when she saw the place and how beautiful it was decorated, she was, oh, this looks really nice. And, so she made that decision herself based on how nicely it was decorated. Well, he came from a pretty unfortunate situation where uh, his previous wife had put him in a place that was inappropriate. And so he came from a place which was really for patients with advanced dementia to Sherwood House, which was independent living. So he immediately felt a lot better there. And that's a long story, but I think what appeals to Dad about the place again is it's everybody's friendly. Although he has a memory problem, he has a real difficulty with names and faces. So he never remembers people's names, but everybody's okay with that. And they all, hi, Michael, and Dad will go, hi, and then he'll ask me who that was. But nobody cares, and everybody made him feel very welcome. So immediately he went from a very stressful situation to a very loving, caring situation after spending some time with us here. And he likes the independence. He likes to be independent, but he also likes to know that he's surrounded by people in case something happens. And we're only literally 7 minutes away. So it's a little bit of a different situation for my father because he can't, anything would have been better than where he was. But he's totally happy and relaxed there, and doesn't want to move. Well, yeah, the thing is, so this is an interesting thing. I think being at Sherwood House, as children of older parents, and caregiving to the parents, a lot of us go through these feeling of guilt a little bit, like why, we have a big house, he could stay here conceivably, but we went through all of that soul searching, and having Dad in Sherwood House gives him a sense of independence, and he functions better for himself. When he comes here, he's suddenly way more needy. And it's actually better, just like because I'm here, and he'll ask me to do things that I know he does perfectly well when he's on his own in his apartment. So I think having Dad there is a perfect balance between keeping him a little bit on his toes in a caring environment where I know if something happened, there'd be people there right away, and they have the emergency necklaces they can press if they fall over, and the hospital's literally just up the hill. But when Dad's in his apartment and he does his little bit of housekeeping there, he keeps his mind active. So it's a great balance between a caring, supporting environment, but the independence is good for him there. So although I wrestled with not putting them there, but having Dad move there as opposed to stay living permanently with us, I think it's a good balance. And this is another nice thing about Sherwood and their relationship with the Vancouver Island Health Services and the home support. You can slowly ratchet up the kind of support that you need or your parent needs. So when Dad first moved in there, he was fine with his pill. He didn't need anything. Now, 6 years later, 5 years later, last year we instigated the pill service. So we don't have to worry about Dad missing his pills. And now, for a long time I did the laundry. Then I thought, why am I doing the laundry? So we've got the laundry service going. So you can be very flexible about what kind of care they have there. I think the character of this, there's two sort of things. Okay, I've mentioned the caring very much, is very a big part of it, but also the respect the staff has for the residents. Each resident is a unique individual, and that's how they are treated. They are treated with respect. I know I really don't like it when people talk to older people as though they were children. That sort of, I hate that. Nothing like that happens ever at Sherwood. Everybody is respected for their accomplishments and what they've done in their lives, and they're celebrated for it. There's a newsletter that comes out every month, and every month they highlight somebody, they write about or they encourage people to write about their lives. They have a lot of great memory aids. And so like at Valentine's Day, they had set up a table in the lounge, and everybody was encouraged to put pictures of their weddings or their sweethearts, and then people were supposed to guess, who's that? And it was a really great way of acknowledging that people have had long, interesting lives, and they really do a lot of that, and they're very they're not just there. The staff get to know the residents. They get to know their stories and their and their lives, and so it's kind of, there's a real family feeling. Well, I certainly feel a weight has lifted off my shoulders. Um, I know just the peace of mind I have from knowing that if anything at all happens, they phone me right away. We've had a couple of small health incidents. Dad fell once. He had a tiny little stroke, and they were great. They were they phoned, they had the ambulance coming. I came, we all met there, and everything was like clockwork. And I mean, it really can't get any better than that. I just feel like I can live my life with peace of mind that Dad's cared for. Um, well, from personal experience, I think it's wonderful. But I mean, we went through placing both my mom and dad there. And it's so they have a really good sort of process. You phone and you have a meeting with the manager, and then I would really encourage people to take their parent there. They can have a lunch there and sort of see what the dining room's like, meet a couple of the residents. Everybody has to sort of feel like it's for them. I can't imagine how anyone wouldn't feel welcome there, but I recommend it 100%. I mean, I haven't got any qualms about the place. It's very important to go inside the different facilities and tour them. And um, and we all know, people talk about parents know their children, but children know their parents, and children know sometimes more than their parents, in the sense that if my mom had a little bit of dementia, and so which she wasn't really aware of. So you have to think about what the place will be like from their perspective, and so watch what they're like when they're going through, and look at the other residents, and really think to yourself, can you imagine your mom or dad being happy here? And watch their responses, and to the greatest extent possible, allow them to make the decision, even though sometimes better by this point because of dementia or memory loss, or any other issues that your parents might be facing. Yeah, and just watch how, and I kind of really looked at how the staff, and I guess the manager, or in our case anyway, that person is kind of like the front line so you really have to like the manager too. Because you're going to be dealing with them on behalf of your mom or dad. So it's important to have a good rapport with the manager and the staff person at the front desk, because I deal with them a lot. Well, for us, it was, we liked the building, we liked the facility, we liked the rooms. The rooms were nicely sort of spaced out. Each one has a balcony. So for when I was with Mom and we were looking at it, it was definitely about the house, the building. And second of all, it was about the food. Mom was a great cook, and so food very important to her. So we had a few lunches there, and I had lunch there, and we just sampled the food, and she liked the food. She liked the way the dining room the tables had linen tablecloths, and all of these things are very important to her. And so it was really because of that. And then the people seemed very friendly, so we just chose it that way. Well, it was kind of fun in that when Mom and I were touring the rooms with the former manager, we looked at the display suite. And of course, the display suite was, it had the full kitchen. Not all suites have stoves in them, for example. Some residents aren't interested in cooking, like many of the men there, not like my dad, never even looks at the stove. But so my mom being a cook, so I told the manager that my mom loved cooking, so she showed her the suite with a stove in it and the full kitchen, and we really played up the fact that this was the best suite in the place because it was the display suite, and my mom got, oh, I like that idea. So we kind of helped her make the decision that needed to be made, because she really couldn't she had a very large house and couldn't stay there. The manager and I did a little psychology, and it was really subtly done, but very carefully done, that this was a great room for Mom, and she took it. So the manager at the time was very understanding about some people aren't feeling they're feeling a little trepidatious about the move. And so you just sort of have to help them see all the benefits. And she was really good at that without being overpowering. And at the end of the day, my mom felt like she made the decision herself. So it helped me actually with that kind of psychology that you have to go through. I think what really stood out to me was, what I was looking at particularly were the other residents. Did they seem happy? Were they interacting? What was the feel of the place? Because they would tell me what life was like there. And so when we came in, I was really happy to see, a lively group of women sitting in a corner, chatting and knitting and having coffee. And then, in the other part of the room, there was people watching a movie in the afternoon, a matinee, and there was popcorn and everybody looked happy. There was people sitting outside. It was sort of summer, so there's also a place outside where the very few smokers still, they go outside and sit there, and they were having conversation, and everybody seemed to know each other. And I really, that stuck with me, because that told me that the atmosphere is good here. I mean, that was very important. Our case is very unusual, so it's not because it was extremely stressful, because there were other issues going on in all of our lives at that point with his now ex-wife. So it was extremely stressful. But having said that, and there was ongoing litigation, having said that, though, and that's only relevant to the point where, again, the staff at Sherwood were very understanding of where Dad had come from, and any extra, like, it wasn't just simply, moving somebody from their home where they'd been happily living to Sherwood. It was a very stressful move, and they were very good about that and sort of reassuring us that Dad would be safe there because he was in a place before where he wasn't really. So um, the staff went out of their way to actually help us, the family, with the stress of the situation, um, making it as easy as possible for us to just kind of get him in there quickly, because there, before COVID anyway, there's always a waiting list. It's a very popular place, so we were very lucky and that Dad was able to move in there when he needed to, because anyway, and they were very helpful. I think they just made him feel very welcome. And um, there were pleasant surprises all along, like birthday cards from the staff, um, Christmas cards, every, um, the cook there was being British, and my parents are British. The cook was, I was really surprised about how the cook kind of singled out Dad, because my father's born in Rugby and he was born not far from Rugby. And so, and he would bring my dad every, he got the Weekly Telegraph. He got some British newspaper. After he finished reading it, he always made sure he gave it to Dad. And they had he's unfortunately retiring this month, but they had a really good relationship. So that was a nice surprise. The cook kind of sought him out, and yeah, that was good. That was very nice. It's all gone so well for both my parents in their different ways. I don't think I would.
Okay, why not?
Well, because it all went so well. I mean, it just seemed to, the people there were so nice and welcoming. The place is so nice. Both my parents loved it for their different reasons. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention that's very important, especially with my mom, the thing about Sherwood that's really quite unique, well, and I haven't found anywhere else like this or heard of anywhere else, is that you're allowed to have pets there. So you're allowed to have your cats, not giant dogs, but you're allowed to have pets, cats and dogs. And my mom was very, very close to her little Cavalier Spaniels. So she had, that was it actually, I should have said this, that was the key reason we chose Sherwood for my mother, because she would not think about going anywhere and leaving her dogs with somebody, or we probably have to take it on. She was, because by that time she'd been on her own for a while. So Sherwood allowing pets is a key benefit for any elderly person who has one, because it's very important company.
Knowing what you know now, the journey you've been through, moving your parents into Sherwood, what would you tell yourself if you had to do it all over again?
I probably wouldn't have waited so long with my mom. Now my dad, things happened in a certain way, but with my mom, I struggled with this sort of decision to try and help her out of her home to somewhere more appropriate. And we kept, we did a lot of work. Mom used to only live 5 minutes away, so I was there a lot, and it was a lot of work for me. And we were sort of struggling to keep Mom in the house, and we really didn't need to be, because when she moved to Sherwood, she was so happy there. I felt like I should have done this a year ago. So maybe, if you, advice would be, if you find a place that you think is really great, don't wait if you think your parents will benefit from the move. And I just waited out of guilt, because I thought, oh, I can look after Mom and keep her in her home. And sometimes it's actually not the best thing for your parents, because it's a lot, she couldn't no longer drive into town. And So it was much better at the end of the day, and I should have probably encouraged her to move a year ago before she did.
For more information about this community, you can visit their profile at comfortlife.ca.